Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are reacting to the BAFTA Awards. BAFTAs were yesterday afternoon for me, here in the United States, but one of those things where kind of already had a video ready to upload yesterday, and then I wouldn't have had time to edit this one and get it out on Sunday, so kind of a little bit of a day late here on the reaction of these. But I'm excited to react to these nominations. The show, I believe, is on a little bit of a tape delay. I think the BAFTA kind of does it like an hour or so behind. Luckily, I have not seen anything yet, so no spoilers as I'm watching this live reaction to all of these. So I'm excited here to just to react to the winners. Okay, and then it looks like we've got our first category here. I believe they said it was visual effects. We've got Ray Fiennes and Isabella Rossellini here to announce. This is one of those that, again, like I've been doing in a lot of my kind of reaction videos. I just didn't, because I'm so focused on doing my category breakdowns that I haven't done the videos of my predictions for the precursors. So I didn't do a predictions video, but I did make my predictions on the Awards Expert app. We'll see if I can remember what I predicted in each category. I believe visual effects was one that I did I was very strongly considering Better Man. Like I thought that maybe had a shot here, but I think ultimately I did kind of default to Dune. I don't think Dune's going to get completely shut out at the BAFTAs, and so maybe this was like the one category I was most confident in it winning. I will say before they announce the winner here, actually they're announcing it right now, but I will say that Better Man did get a loud cheer, but it still went to Dune Part 2. Okay. So yeah, this was one of those that I just ultimately I didn't. I was, like I said, I was very close to going with Better Man, but ultimately I kind of stuck with my gun, stuck with Doom Part 2 because I felt like it wasn't going to get completely shut out. Although there is a chance that maybe this was the one and only award that Dune Part 2 is getting tonight. Okay, and then I believe he just said the next category is the family film category, which I think is it not just an exact 4 for 4 overlap of animated? There might have been a film or two, or maybe just one that was different. I guess we'll see. They'll probably show the nominees here in a second, but I'm just not super familiar. I think he also said that this is a brand new category, so I don't know if there's really any precedent for how they're going to go. I had Wallace and Gromit as my predicted winner in animated, so I think that's probably what I'm just going with here in family film as well, because I just don't know how to necessarily differentiate the two. Maybe they'll split it, and I would stick with like Wallace and Gromit in animated, and then maybe The Wild Robot here in family. I'm not 100% sure. I'm just kind of interested to see what ends up winning this category. So it still goes to Wallace and Gromit. Okay, so this is where I have to decide because I don't remember if this is a category. Could I have predicted this on the awards expert? I feel like I don't remember predicting this one. I definitely went for Wallace and Gromit in animated, and so I guess that this is just kind of Wallace and Gromit going to be doubling up here. I'm assuming because I don't see how it wins family film, but then doesn't win animated. But I guess we'll see when that category comes up. And the next category is the outstanding British writing directing debut. I did go with Kneecap in this category just based off of the sheer number of nominations that it got across the board. I feel like it's the pretty safe choice here. Okay, Kneecap took Selena Gomez a second to figure out how to read that card, but does go to Kneecap. This is one that again I don't necessarily didn't have a great reference to know exactly kind of typically how the BAFTA goes in that category, but it felt obvious with Kneecap getting, I think it's out of all of those, maybe it was the only one that had multiple nominations, and I think Kneecap got, was it like 6 or something here at the BAFTAs? So, I mean, it just kind of felt like it was the obvious choice for that category. Like I was saying, I don't watch the BAFTAs every single year, but I really might start moving forward, making sure that I check out the BAFTAs because they are blowing through these. We are moving at a brisk pace, no commercials so far, so this has been a lot of fun. We're already moving on to original screenplay, and this is one where I think the substance it kind of had, which is the video that I actually just posted yesterday. I'm currently in the middle of editing as I'm watching the BAFTAs. I did have Anora. I think the substance is the one that has kind of been creeping up and maybe is potentially the new frontrunner. But I think with this late surge that Anora is having, I'm having a hard time seeing the substance kind of overtake Anora here at the BAFTAs. I also think that the Brutalist, I think, was kind of the favorite on the awards expert app, so I wouldn't be shocked if it was the Brutalist, but I just kind of went with my gut and kind of just went with the feeling that I think this is the continuation of the Anora sweep this season. A real pain. Um okay. Hmm. So So I'm. This is making me think because, like I just said, in the middle of watching the BAFTAs, I'm in the middle of editing my original screenplay. In the middle of editing my original screenplay video, I did not like even consider this as a possibility, like that a real pain would. I think so. Again, if you didn't see yesterday's video, I believe I put Real Pain in fourth in terms of my likelihood of winning the Oscar. I think it's definitely above The Brutalist now. Like it's got to be top three. It's in as much of winning contention as Anoris, The Substance, and now Real Pain. So yeah, because what does that mean now? So that means a Real Pain won BAFTA, The Substance won Critics' Choice, and The Brutalist won the Globe, right? So that means, and I still might be predicting Honora for the. I can't predict Honora for the Oscar, but Honora just won the WGA. That's another thing that I just pointed out in that video. So, Honora WGA, A Real Pain BAFTA, The Brutalist Globe, and Honora or the Substance Critics' Choice. I I don't know how to process that. That is four. All four of these, I think, are so strong contenders. I don't know. Now you have to decide which precursor you kind of weigh more. I think the BAFTAs typically and historically have been kind of the precursor that holds a little bit more weight, as well as the Writers Guild. The WGA obviously holds a lot of weight. So I think, do I say that those are my two frontrunners now? I think I'm pretty comfortable. Maybe The Substance falls to like fourth now or third. I can't wrap my brain around how and I'm just now I'm in the process of thinking, do I change? I've already recorded that video that I'm working on editing and uploading. So like, do I change or do I add in a note? Yeah, I don't know. That was a shock. I was not expecting that at all. And then we're quickly moving along here to Best Adapted Screenplay, and I think this is pretty comfortably Conclave. This is the category that I would say one of the categories that at the Oscars feels the most kind of wrapped up and assured at this point, and I also think that it maybe feels pretty wrapped up here at BAFTA as well. I will say that Nickel Boys is the one that a couple days ago when I did my adapted screenplay category breakdown, I believe I put Nickel Boys in second. I think the second best odds. I do think that maybe there is kind of some late surge potential there, for Nickel Boys. Amelia Perez is one that, if pre controversies and pre everything going on with the film, I think maybe would have had a little bit better of a shot. And maybe I don't know when BAFTA voted, so I don't know if that maybe would have affected Amelia Perez in any sort of way. But so maybe that is kind of the runner up here. But again, I do think ultimately it's pretty safe that it's going to be Conclave. Conclave. Yeah, like I was saying, this feels like one of the biggest blocks. This feels like it's wrapped. It feels like this is done. Conclave is, I don't know how many Oscars it's going to win. This might be maybe its only win, but it's like it at this point it is secured that it is at least getting this one win. Okay, and then next up now is the animated film category, and this is one where I don't see how Wallace and Gromit can win family film and then not win animated film here. So I'm predicting it to double up because this is, I was predicting Wallace and Gromit all along here in the animated category. I will say that I just because I'm probably putting too much stock into this, but like the audience was really loud during the Wild Robot nominate or introducing it in the previous category, so I do think that there is still love for the Wild Robot here, but ultimately I think I am going with the double up Wallace and Gromit to win both of these categories. Wallace and Gromit. So yeah, I mean, I guess not a big surprise, but that does make animated like a really fun category, I think, coming to the Oscar as well, because now we've got Flow won Globe, Wild Robot won Critics' Choice, Wallace and Gromit won BAFTA. So it's kind of one of those where I think each film won one precursor. I don't know exactly how much stock I'm putting into Wallace and Gromit being something that kind of is carries on beyond the BAFTA, so I don't know if it's necessarily as much in contention. But I just think that kind of with it being this wide open and this kind of spread out amongst the three nominees, I think I would be predicting the Wild Robot now, maybe, is my predicted My prediction for I just animated is a tough category. I feel like for me every year, if there's not a clear cut favorite, it always feels like it can just go one of any sort of direction, and I feel like I always get it wrong. But I think with Wallace and Gromit kind of sweeping up here at the BAFTAs, I think that maybe makes The Wild Robot potentially the favorite for the Oscar. And then the next category here is Best Supporting Actor, and this is one of the categories where I think this was where some people were saying that maybe this is where we finally break up the Kieran Culkin sweep. Maybe this is, if there's any shot that you have of saying that Kieran Culkin isn't going to win the Oscar, it has to be like he has to lose here at BAFTA. Otherwise, it's just a clear, unobvious sweeper all the way to the Oscar. And so I think there were some people that were kind of predicting that he wasn't going to win here. I was predicting Kieran Culkin the entire time. I still felt like he was going to win, and especially now after Real Pain just won for original screenplay, I see no world where Kieran Culkin doesn't also come along as best supporting actor. Kieran Culkin. Yeah, I mean, this is was so to me. This was one that the lot of the acting categories have just kind of felt, kind of wrapped up. I don't want to say that the categories are necessarily, wrapped up, but I do think that we've been having a quartet of the actors that have won in each category have continued to kind of win everywhere, and I do think that there is a chance that for a shakeup in a category or two, but I just never felt like supporting actor was that category, and so I was been going with Kieran Culkin. I'm going to continue to predict Kieran Culkin as at this point all the way to the Oscars. Okay, and then moving straight on into supporting actress as well. This is, I guess, maybe it's the supporting categories are the ones that I think are essentially kind of locked up. I think Zoe Saldana is going to come away unscathed from all of the controversy and everything going on with Emilia Perez. I do think that it's one of those that, like obviously Carlos Sofia Gascon and Jacques Audiard, and then maybe all the categories that are specifically awarding the film itself, those are the ones that I think are kind of getting hurt and are going to be kind of slipping up here a little bit in some of these categories. But I'm at this point I'm pretty confident that Zoe Saldana is going to come out unscathed. She's not going to be affected by the controversies, and so I fully expect her to win here and then just continue sweeping on to the Oscar. Zoe Saldana. So yeah, like I said, this is I think her and Kieran Culkin, they are sweepers. They're going to win SAG next week, and then they're going to win the Oscar. I think that maybe if there's any sort of breakup in the acting categories, it's going to be at this point in our Best Actor and Best Actress, because Saldana and Culkin, they've got this all the way through. I'm glad I was able to just pause this in time. It looks like they might be doing a speed run of some nominations that were announced earlier. The first thing I see here is for Best Production Design. Okay, so it looks like Wicked won production design, which would have been what I would have. I believe, yeah, I was predicting it there because this is one of those where I think I was predicting Wicked in a lot of kind of the tech categories. It's kind of like what I think is going to happen at the Oscars as well. The next one is film not in the English language. This is one for me where I don't see Emilia Perez faltering here. I don't think so. That's what I went with was Emilia Perez, and it was Emilia Perez. So yeah, I don't. I'm starting to get less and less confident about I'm Still Here's chances at the Oscar and upsetting Emilia Perez. I think Emilia Perez, maybe the controversies are really only kind of going to tank Carlos Sofia Gascon and Picture. I think maybe it still has what it takes to win international, but I mean, that's what I think is going to create maybe the I'm Still Here upset so special, is because all the signs are look like it's still going to be pointing to Emilia Perez, and so you just have to really kind of call your shot there. And then it looks like it's Best Sound is the next category. Okay, so it went Dune Part Two. So if I'm remembering right, I think those were the two categories I still gave Dune. I gave it visual effects and I gave it sound. So I don't think it. If I'm remembering it, I don't think I predicted it in any other tech category. So I believe those were the only two nominations that I was giving it, and it looks like that's what it's got so far at the BAFTAs. And then next is original score, which I gave to The Brutalist, and it is. So it's The Brutalist. So yeah, I mean that's another one. It seems like there's a lot of these that the BAFTAs are kind of coming in here and they're kind of solidifying and they're kind of shoring up. I think some of these categories that we kind of had the suspicion on, and so far the BAFTAs maybe are kind of confirming again a lot of these that maybe this isn't going to be the most exciting, Oscar race. Here we do have casting. This is the category. I'm going to pause this real quick because I do need to talk a little bit about casting because I don't know how to predict casting. What I've done for casting, what I have in the past, is because I've noticed the trends of Joker winning casting and Elvis winning casting because they just nail the lead. And I do think that that is such an important part of how they view casting is they don't necessarily view casting as like an ensemble thing as much as they view it as an award of did you nail the casting of your lead character. And so I went on a limb here. I think this was maybe like third or fourth on Awards Expert in terms of winning. I went with Anora. I don't feel great about it, but I felt like that was the film that nailed its lead character the best out of the nominees, so that's where I went. It was Anora. I got that right. That is I was not. I genuinely was not expecting to get Honora right, but I thought of it for a couple reasons. I thought of Mikey Madison getting the lead, being the lead. I thought that she nailed that, and then I kind of was just going with Honora also solely for the fact that a lot of the Mark Eidelstein and Yura Borisov and all of the other characters that are in essentially the majority, if not all, of Sean Baker's previous films. It's the same kind of cast, and then there's also all of the like Sean Baker loves to get non actors, playing kind of secondary roles and stuff in his films, and so I just felt like the entire process of the whole cast was great. The whole casting that they did was great, but putting Mikey Madison in the lead is and on that as well. I just felt like that was the thing that pushed it over the top, and that's why I went with Honora. I totally was not expecting to get that one right. And then next is best editing, and this is another one that I'm pretty sure I went with Honora. I'm not 100% positive off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure I went with Honora. Nick Emmers is that so Conclave? Okay, so Conclave wins editing. That's great. That's probably um, one of my favorite editing nominees. Just because I love a lot about Conclave, and I think what works so well is the way that it is edited, specifically edited to the score and to just the way that the screenplay is so kind of quick and takes you to the tense or the mystery or the drama, and the editing I think kind of just pushes you right along there, so you're kind of feeling all of those emotions as the film is going on. So I think that's a great winner for editing is Conclave. I don't know if that's going to change kind of how I'm feeling about the Oscar, and maybe that's my favorite. Maybe that might be my front runner now. I'll have to kind of consider how I feel about that, but that's honestly that's a great win. Alright, and then the next category is Outstanding British Film, and this is one that I have just a really hard time seeing anything but Conclave winning this. This is another one of those that, kind of one of those categories that there's so many films in here that it's like kind of their one or only a couple nominations, and then you'll get a film like Conclave that just has so many more nominations kind of across the board at the award shows. It's kind of pretty easy that points you, if you just look at nomination totals, it can kind of point you to exactly to to where you need to be kind of looking in terms of what your winner is. But yeah, this is one I would be shocked if anything other than Conclave wins. I will say right before the winner is announced, I did kind of forget Wallace and Gromit. Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul is nominated here, so maybe I'm not the most 100% locked in Conclave. If anything could upset, maybe it is this Wallace and Gromit love, and it ends up getting 3 BAFTAs here tonight. But no, I am still gonna go with Conclave. And it is Conclave. Okay, I just for a split second saw Wallace and Gromit pop up as they were doing the nominees, and I had a little moment of like that would be the craziest thing, but it was the only other thing I could have seen potentially upsetting Conclave. So Conclave, great showing here at BAFTA. I'm starting to think that it maybe could at this point win Best Film, Best Picture at BAFTA. I don't think I didn't predict it. I know it was the favorite. I think a lot of people were predicting it, but getting editing, getting screenplay, getting British debut, like it's just or not British debut, but British film, like it is starting to kind of rack up a couple of these categories, and it might not quite be done yet. Next up is the EE Rising Star Award. This is one that I don't remember if this was one that you could predict on Awards Expert, or if I just kind of just missed it, just forgot to predict this one. This is one. It's another tough one. I don't know exactly how to vote for this or how to like predict this one. I think Mikey Madison is one of the nominees here, and so obviously it feels like she should be the winner. But if I'm not mistaken, I think this is like is this not like a public vote? And so I'm not 100% sure exactly how to really kind of gauge this category. I guess I'm not shocked with anyone really here. I guess I would, if I had to pick, I would go Mikey Madison, but I'm not super sure on this category. David Johnson. Um, that's awesome, Amy. He was great in Alien Romulus. I loved him in Rye Lane. I thought he was phenomenal. Was that just last year? Is that 2 years old of this? I think Rye Lane was just last year. I thought he was phenomenal in that, and again, a great win. I'm not exactly sure how to you know, predict this category because yeah, it feels kind of weird seeing Mikey Madison being a nominee here, considering that I think people have been pretty familiar with Mikey Madison for years. I guess I'm again just not super familiar with the Rising Star award, but it's really cool seeing David Johnson get this award. And the next up is Best Director, and this is a category where I think it was pretty comfortably Brady Corbet was kind of the front runner. It felt like, and it felt like for a lot of us, we kind of had him locked, like as the lock in this category, and then Sean Baker messes around and wins at DGA, and so I think we do have a very kind of compelling two-horse race now. I think Sean Baker maybe is the favorite now in terms of for the Oscar, and I think in terms of maybe here at the BAFTA, I think he could be the favorite. I still just kind of went with Brady Corbet. I just kind of had this weird gut feeling about him. I did have Sean Baker as the runner up, and I was really close to Edward Berger. I think could make it an interesting kind of three-horse race there since they love Conclave so much. So yeah, I mean this is interesting. I'm not sure exactly. I didn't want to put all of my eggs in the Honora basket because I didn't know if BAFTA particularly would celebrate Honora as much as we think that it might kind of end up being celebrated at the Oscar, as much as it's been celebrated over the last week or so. I don't know. There's just a lot of different kind of directions or a lot of different ways that this could go, and so ultimately I kind of just shifted back, I guess, kind of to the previous frontrunner, and I went with Brady Corbet. Brady Corbet. Okay. Okay. It feels weird to like get a prediction right and then still be stunned or kind of be shocked that you got it right. It was the same thing with Nora in casting. Um, okay, so what does this mean? So Brady Corbet now has the he has the two kind of the televised precursors. He has the Golden Globe and he has the BAFTA, but then you've got Sean Baker that has the DGA, which maybe is more important. I don't know. This is where I'd have to turn into the Oscar expert or to the people that are a little more tuned in. What is historically, what does this mean? What is this combo versus the DGA versus Globe and BAFTA combo? Like what does that mean? What are the past examples of when we've had that? Who ends up kind of coming out victorious at the Oscar? Because my gut tells me that DGA is more important, but I know BAFTA is typically kind of the most important of the televised precursors in terms of I don't necessarily know if director is one that they're most consistent in, but it's one of the precursors that I put a lot of my stock in when you're kind of having to make decisions like that. So yeah, this is interesting, and I think that this is fun and this is good because we so much had been kind of talked about this being such a chaotic Oscar race, and then now so far a lot of things are just kind of falling into place, it seems, and so I'm glad that there's still a couple categories that I think are going to be up in the air all the way till Oscar night, with director being one of them. Then it looks like we've got another run here of awards that were presented earlier. The first one they've got here is cinematography. I predicted The Brutalist, I believe, and The Brutalist does win for cinematography. So yeah, I think The Brutalist is might be up there with like Conclave. Those might too, and maybe Honora. Maybe all three of them are kind of be kind of like neck and neck and potentially win just about the same amount of BAFTAs. Next up is Best Documentary, and I believe I went with No Other Land. Superman the Christopher Reeve story. I think I had that in fifth. I think that was my dead last. I think that's the one I was the least um predicting. Okay, yeah, that caught me off guard. And that also doesn't really give you anything for the Oscar. So that's the documentary is maybe one of those categories that you don't necessarily always have the best feel for what's going to happen anyway, but sometimes the BAFTA can kind of help you along. But this year they gave their award to something that wasn't nominated at the Oscars. So when we get to the documentary category, it's going to be kind of a in my category breakdown series. That's going to be kind of just a crapshoot at this point. I'm not sure where I'm going or what I think the favorite is in that category. Next up is British short film. Rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, I don't remember even really predicting this category, and if I did, I definitely didn't predict rock, paper, scissors. This is British short animation. I think this is the Wander to Wonder category, and that's what I predicted. And I just missed the announcement. Yep, and this was Wander to Wonder. So this is the one that I think. I guess we aren't for the Oscars. We aren't getting any information in terms of documentary, but I think we are in terms of maybe animated short. I think Wander to Wonder is kind of proven that it could be kind of the front runner in that category. Then we've got makeup and hairstyling. This is where I went with the substance and the Substance won. So, yeah, I mean, I believe that's the first award of the night for the Substance. I was kind of a little worried. I didn't know if the BAFTAs were necessarily going to love the Substance overall as a film. Seems like the crowd does. They are kind of cheering for it every time it's brought up. But this is one of those that even if you didn't necessarily love the film and you weren't going to give it a lot of awards at your ceremony, you can't deny it here. And then next up is costume design, and that one I went with Wicked. Well, yeah, I believe that's Wicked. So yeah, so it looks like Wicked. It did got your costume design and your production design stack. I think that's gonna continue on to the Oscars. I think it's Wicked is going to be up there. It might be like the second most awarded film at the Oscars solely because it's going to sweep up, and I think a lot of these kind of technical categories. And then next up, it looks like we've got leading actor is the next category, and this is. The more I'm thinking about this, the more I think we're gonna have a sweep in maybe three categories because I have such a hard time seeing Adrian Brody not coming away with the win here, especially after Brady Corbet just got director, the film got cinematography, and it picked up something else. The score, like it already has three, so this is potentially the fourth BAFTA for it. The Brutalist is kind of having a little bit of a resurgence, I think, here at the BAFTA after kind of being left for dead at a couple of the other previous award shows, and so I just have such a hard time seeing Adrian Brody not coming through here. Timothy Chalamet, I don't even think he's the runner-up in this category, at least here at the BAFTA. I think I have him in third. It's probably Ray Fiennes for Conclave is probably the runner-up. And the fact that Timothy Chalamet isn't winning anywhere and isn't like making any noise, I guess we're still, SAG away. SAG could be kind of the one thing for Timothy Chalamet. That was, I think, one of the predicted spots where we were all kind of, a lot of people initially were predicting Timothy Chalamet. I don't know if that's what's going to stay true or not. But I mean, at this point, it feels like we might be having a kind of an Adrian Brody runaway in this category. Adrian Brody. So yeah, we keep talking. There was all this talk leading into this Oscar season that this was going to be the most chaotic and most unpredictable, and there are still maybe a couple categories here and there. Screenplay, particular original screenplay, and maybe director. There's a couple that are maybe kind of a toss-up, but so far I'm starting to think that three of the four acting categories might be locked up, with the fourth one potentially about locked up as well. So we do. I think we can pretty confidently say we know the majority of our acting winners come Oscar Sunday. And then we've got Best Actress. I believe this is our second to last category. Now this is the one where we've now have, like I said, three of the four are kind of locked up. This category could be locked up as well if we get a Demi Moore win. I know some people were predicting like Marianne Jean Baptiste. For me, ultimately, I went with Mikey Madison. I think this is one of those categories where the Honora, it's getting all this traction, and I just have such a hard time seeing it. If, let's say, hypothetically, for the Oscar, I'm predicting it for picture, I'm predicting it for screenplay, I'm predicting it for director, like I would have a hard time seeing it get all of those nominations and then not get actress. And so it's one of those things where it's like if I'm leaning that way where I want to predict actress at the Oscar, it does have to kind of win either here or probably here and SAG. Maybe just here would be enough. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I do think that we would have to see a win here for Mikey Madison. So this is one where I know a lot of people I think were kind of predicting as well. I don't think it's as big of a reach as maybe you might initially think it is, but I did go with Mikey Madison. Does go to Mikey Madison. Okay, so I'm excited for the idea of now we have at least one of the four acting categories is exciting. It's not done. It's not over yet. Now it's interesting with we kind of have BAFTA before SAG this year because I don't know if I'm would predict Mikey Madison as SAG. I think I might still predict Demi Moore, and so then it's kind of either way. I think you're gonna have like a 3-1 Demi Moore Globe choice SAG, Critics Choice SAG, and then Mikey Madison just has BAFTA, and I think that one BAFTA might be enough to kind of push her to the Oscar, just because, again, because like I've said, if I'm predicting it in picture and screenplay and director, it would feel so wrong to give it all of those and then not give it actor as well, and then potentially not give it editing, and then all of a sudden at this point we're looking at Honora winning 5 out of its 6 nominations, because I think it only has 6 nominations, right? But anyway, in terms of that's just, I mean, looking forward, just kind of looking back at what this means of Mikey Madison winning here at BAFTA, kind of again makes sense a little bit, because I also just didn't think that The Substance was going to be the big player at BAFTA. Yeah, because I think the only category left is picture, right? And so that just means that the only thing The Substance won tonight was makeup and hairstyling, which I think was the only thing I was predicting it for anyway. So yeah, that's something you're going to have to weigh when it comes to the Oscars: is do the Oscars just like The Substance more than the BAFTAs do, or is this actually kind of a shift in the change in the tide of now Mikey Madison is our front runner and actress? A lot kind of to kind of weigh and to go back and forth with, I think, in terms of this category. I think my category breakdown video for actress hopefully is coming up in the next week. It might be kind of like actually might be the next week right after SAG when I get to that one. We'll see when that comes up, but this is at least this is exciting because it's the one acting category that I think is still a race, and there is still so much left to be determined in terms of who's going to ultimately win that Oscar. So it's exciting to have one of these acting categories still be a competition. All right, and the final category is the Best Film, Best Picture category here at the BAFTAs. This is one where I think Conclave became the favorite. I think especially like, kind of the not the betting, but the favorite on like awards expert app. A lot of people were predicting Conclave, and so I do think that this was kind of a thing where a lot of people were shifting and they were trying to, I guess, be proactive and just pick the thing that they thought was the more comfortable pick. I still stuck with Honora, and I don't necessarily. It's weird. I don't know whether I should feel good or bad about it, because Honora won for Mikey Madison, it won for casting, and it won for. Is that it? Does it only have those two? Did it not get anything else? For some reason, I felt like Honora has like a third, but I can't, off the top of my head, can't think of what that would have been. So I think it only has the two. Conclave, I think, has 3 wins, right? And so I do kind of wish I could go back and rector instead of I predicted Honora. I wish I could kind of go back and say that it was Conclave is what I actually was going for. But surprisingly, as the ceremony has gone on, I think I might switch to the Brutalist. I think the Brutalist maybe actually has what it takes here to get this Best Picture. They clearly, it's kind of a little bit of a revival for the Brutalist. It was after Critics' Choice Awards, it was kind of looking a little dead, but the BAFTAs have kind of come in and kind of confirmed a little bit what the Globes were setting up with the Brutalist, of saying, no, that we actually do still think that this is a contender, and then this is, not something to just be so easily discarded and forgotten. So I actually, my current prediction, even though I predicted Honora, I'm currently kind of leaning the Brutalist, but let's see here what the winner is. Conclave did still pull it out. Okay, so okay, so Conclave wins BAFTA. So this is, I think, this was when people were kind of mapping out this award season. I think, at least within the last week or so, this is what I think a lot of people are still kind of doing. Is once Honora started picking up DGA and PGA and now WGA yesterday, when it started winning all of the guilds, and then it won Best Film with no other wins at the Critics' Choice. It was kind of like the positive momentum was going there for Honora, but then people were still picking Conclave here. But it was kind of one of those, we're going to pick it here, and we don't think it's really going to change anything. We just think that that's going to be the British pick, that this is what they're going to do at BAFTA, is they'll pick Conclave, and then Honora will just continue to steamroll. And that could be what's happening, but it's so hard to not just be a prisoner in the moment, and to see something like this, to see Conclave win here, to get this speech. For me, I enjoy Conclave more than I enjoy Honora, so I'm kind of rooting for it. I would love for Conclave to find a way to get back into and make this maybe a 3-horse race for Best Picture at the Oscar between Anora, Conclave, and The Brutalist. Um, yeah, this is exciting. This is an exciting win for Conclave here. Yeah, I just it's hard to say. I don't know exactly what it's going to mean for Best Picture, but I do think it maybe makes it a little interesting, especially if Conclave can win for ensemble at SAG. It might. It might. Is it the favorite? I haven't really looked at SAG predictions. I haven't like tried to make any of those yet, so I don't know if it necessarily is. But it might be the front runner, and if it is, we could have a nice competition in picture at the Oscars, which would be so refreshing because I can't remember when was the last time. Yeah, let's just go back over the last couple years. When was the last time we had a race really for Best Picture? I guess we Oppenheimer was a sweeper last year. Everything Everywhere All at Once kind of got off not I don't want to say like a slow start, but it didn't win the first couple, but then it really just took off and became a sweeper. So there was no suspense there. Coda and Coda v drawing a blank on the name of that, The Power of the Dog. That was a year where I think The Power of the Dog had won a lot, but then there was a switch, and you could feel the switch. I think it started at SAG, where Coda just took over, and from that point on, it was the clear frontrunner. And I don't think anyone was really doubting once we got to Oscar night that Coda was the clear frontrunner. So I don't even know if that's the best example. Going back the year before Coda, um, would that have been Nomadland? That was a sweeper. It legitimately might be Parasite. The year that it was Parasite versus 1917. That might have been the last time that there was like an up in the air best picture winner like and even then I still think the vibe, at least in the Oscars watch party that I was at that year, the vibe we all kind of accepted it was about to be Parasite. I think we all kind of knew that that was happening, but I will say that there at least was kind of there was a moment of suspense that was kind of up in the air. This could be the first year since then where there is a little bit of suspense and something kind of up in the air once we get to the best picture at the end of the night, and I think that's just really exciting. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down below in the comments below what you thought of the BAFTA, the award winners, and the results of this award show. What categories do you think are maybe now solidified because of BAFTA, and what categories do you think are going to be super exciting as we continue to move on towards, towards the Oscars in two weeks from today, I believe. I guess 2 weeks from today when I'm recording. 13 days from tomorrow when I'm actually uploading this video. But yeah, just let me know any of your thoughts on those, the nominees, and the results, the winners here of BAFTA in the comments below. And if you'd like to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my videos on this award season covering all of the different categories and the kind of the road leading up to the Oscars, I would greatly appreciate it, and have a great day.